All right. Awesome. Hello and welcome to COFOH Live Undead. We've got another live show here with my friends Kris Hipps and Matt Yarmila. So, yeah. Hi, guys.
Hi. Hey.
Thanks. And for those of you out there that aren't aware, COFOH stands for Colorado Festival of Horror. It's we're just starting to ramp up. We've got our first show that was announced. It'll be September 11th through the 13th, 2020. Isn't that right, audience member? Excellent. Good. Our audience member for tonight is going to be Brett and his wife Jeannie. They're my partners with COFOH. And Kris, you're a horror film director.
I am. I have been in the past a few times. 2 times. I've done 2 feature-length horror films. The first one I co-wrote, directed, co-produced. And that was, we shot it in the old Belvedere Theater in Central City. A lot of people don't know about the Belvedere Theater. It was this deserted theater around the corner from the Central City Opera House. Nice. And we were scouting locations for this film about a haunted theater. My friends and I, and we passed by this place. There was a phone number somewhere. So we just called the guy and we were like, can we shoot a horror film in your deserted, broken down theater? And he said, yeah. It's also the theater where they shot the movie, it was a Duchess and the Dirtwater Fox with Goldie Hawn. It was also shot in this theater. So we got to shoot in the theater. There was no electricity, so we could hang all of our own lights, but it was a spooky, creepy, cool place. I don't know if it's still there. I haven't been to Central City in a while. But Gamblers Anonymous.
Yeah.
But it was haunted. We had all kinds of crazy things happen while we were shooting. The place has a reputation for being haunted. We would see these. The creepiest thing was in the camera. You would look in the camera and you would see these little white things flitting around.
Okay.
But they were like luminescent, and it looked like they had wings. It was not dust. It was not bugs.
Was it Red Bulls?
I don't know. It wasn't fairies either.
Yeah.
But if you looked at it with your naked eye, they weren't there. They were only in the camera. And this kept happening to us. And then also things would disappear. Our lights were constantly exploding. The camera lights were exploding. The lights we had hung up in there were exploding. There had been several people come into this place and do seances, and several ghost hunters had been there. And
gosh.
But the creepiest thing was, later, my mom was in town. So my mom and I went to the Belvedere to get some costumes I had left there from the shoot. And there's this creepy room over in the corner. And Mom and I were getting all in the costumes, and all of a sudden the door to that room just creaked open with the most eerie, like, and then it shut. And I thought somebody was messing with us.
Yeah.
So I ran over there, I opened the door. This is a room that had no other way for anybody to leave it. It's just a self-contained room, nobody there. Wow. So Mom and I got all creeped out. We went to the police station. And we told the police, I don't know. And they came back and searched the place. There was nobody there, but yeah, it was creepy. That movie was called The Monument. And wow. That was, it's pretty creepy film, but we really learned in that film the importance of having good sound, because the film did not have very good sound. So it kept it out of festivals, which was unfortunate, because everybody pretty much that we submitted it to said, this film is really creepy, but your sound is terrible. So,
is there a place to go and see the film?
You know, I think I have it on VHS somewhere.
Oh, neat.
Or this was 2002.
You remember these things.
Yeah, oh yeah.
2003 or 2004, where we shot it. I'm sure I have actually a DVD of it somewhere, but I do need to dig that film out.
Yeah, that
we had a blast shooting it.
Yeah. No matter what the condition is, it'd be fun to. Have you tried going back and doing is it like dialogue or is it the ADR? Can you do ADR?
It was just sound levels. The place was not really conducive for shooting a film. Of course,
with all the ghosts running
with all the ghosts,
Yeah.
slamming doors. But it was big. It was cavernous. Part of it was kind of open to the open air.
Yeah.
This place had been a jail. It had been a brothel once.
Oh, nice.
So there was a lot of history to it.
Yeah.
It was pretty dilapidated and just a lot of street sound that we didn't.
Okay.
I suppose I could probably take it and have somebody redo it now.
Probably
but
doctor it. Yeah.
yeah.
It'd be
Maybe
interesting. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see, what can be done with something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Especially after so many people
Yeah.
put so much time and effort.
And we had great costumes. We had it was about a theater troupe that's performing in this theater, and an avalanche busts through the back wall, and all the actors on stage and the audience are killed. And then these actors come back years and years later to do the same play there. And we had borrowed costumes from Colorado Shakespeare Fest. We had great actors, tons of extras. We put everybody up there. It was a blast. It was really a blast. So maybe I will try to resurrect it.
Yeah. Matt, have you ever gotten to work with Kris on some of these productions?
Yes,
Yeah.
but not that one. That was before we met.
Oh, yeah.
But I have a little spot in here, which I enjoy.
Yeah. You're not getting out alive.
Yes.
Yeah.
I did, though.
You did? Well, clearly you're here, but,
Only a few people actually did. I did not.
No, clearly, yeah.
No,
I
it
agree
says
with
you're not. It doesn't say I'm not. It says you're not.
that. You're not getting out alive.
Who
Yeah.
that is, you'll have to find out.
Yeah, that was my second feature. And this one actually did several festivals.
Yeah.
And actually I had two distribution deals that ended up falling through, which is something that happens in the film industry quite often. One was a horror channel that I signed contracts, all kinds of things. We were really excited about it. And then it just never really got off the ground.
Okay.
And the second one was also a pay-per-view horror channel that they also ended up having financial problems. So we never, both distribution deals fell through. But I sell them online on eBay. And like I said, we did several festivals. So several horror festivals and regular festivals, and got a little award. So I was pretty happy with that.
Yeah, it's a fantastic film. I was able to see it online. And you sent me a link. I think that was, what was it, a year and a half ago?
Probably.
Last time we hung out, you were giving me katanas, which is really dangerous. Never give me katanas. Matt should know better.
What do I know?
But this one was a little bit higher budget. And I was really happy with the way it turned out. It was a lot of fun. We had a really good. This one was actually shot at another historical haunted theater in Denver called the Bug Theater.
Yep.
Over on 37th and Navajo, and Alex Weimer, the artistic director, was very generous in letting us shoot there for a long weekend. There's also scenes that were shot the exterior of the theater, another haunted theater movie. But this one was more of kind of like not really a slasher film, but sort of a mystery, murder, whatever.
Yeah.
But so we used the Evergreen Theater up at Evergreen as the exterior. So I've shot horror films now in 3 theaters in Denver area.
Each one's scarier than the last.
Yeah. Oh, I know the plumbing at the club. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the Bug has these amazing subterranean basements. And
Seriously?
so we shot a lot of it. All those scenes down in the cellars were in the cellar of the club.
Oh,
They have a front cellar and a back cellar, and they're both. One of the cellars was filled with creepy old clown costumes, which we didn't even have to do set dressing.
Oh my
Because
gosh.
it was so, they had all kinds of crazy things. There was a hangman's noose down there, like a gallows, a bunch of creepy old, like, kids' theater costumes that were just bouldering away. So it was really cool.
And this was just a cellar, or was it like
A huge cellar underneath the Bug, where you have to go down a trap door to get in.
Wow, I had no idea that was there.
Yeah.
A little bit of history with Matt and I. Matt used to be the drummer in my performance group called OFM, where we get dressed up in big latex monster outfits, hooked up with bloodworks and squibs and cannons, and we'd have on stage choreographed fight scenes. It was a big kind of a D-movie Circus Olay type thing.
Katanas.
And katanas, yeah, hence the katana thing. Do not give me those. And we'd have this fight choreographed play with a live band. He was in the band. He was the drummer, and then we'd also have taiko drummers accompany you, and I think Scott was on guitar and stuff, and that was fun. I think you were with us when we performed at the Bud. I think at least once or twice.
Yes, I saw a couple.
Did you see that?
Yep.
Were you there? Okay. And then I do remember Alex yelling at me because we bled all over the stage. I warned him. I was just like, "This is we should probably lay a tarp and stuff down." He's like, "Oh, you're fine." It's like, and then it bled under everything that was underneath the stage too. So that was pleasant. We never got invited back after that one. That's probably for the best.
Showbiz.
Yeah, I like Alex. He's a lot of fun. He's
Great.
He's a huge supporter of what everybody does.
Yes, he is.
Kind of like this place. We're at Mutiny Cafe, for those of you who aren't aware. Owned by Jim Norris and Matt Megacy, and they're always big on supporting the local art. And I think them and Alex get together and what should we do this month?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's always fun to have these type of institutions that we can come to and do fun things.
And speaking of which, Alex was murdered.
Oh, fantastic!
He played a victim.
Sorry,
Quick on-screen death or slow and
You know
agonizing.
what? His never actually is on screen. It's off screen. His corpse is just discovered later.
Oh, nice.
Yes. And I do not survive the film either. I'm the first victim in my own film because I always, even as a kid, my brother and I loved horror films.
Yeah.
Loved them. We watched everything. And my fantasy was always to be in a horror film, to be that girl running through the woods who keeps falling down. And eventually, so I actually cast myself as the first victim
Yeah.
in the movie. So I got to live out my fantasy. Not in woods, but I got to run around the theater. And get murdered.
How did you direct it?
Well, my assistant director directed my murder, and then after I was murdered, then I
The rest of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I find that's beneficial. If you're going to cast yourself in the film,
Alfred
make
Hitchcock
sure you kill yourself first, so you can
exactly.
direct everything else.
And make your death the best.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. At least we blew the budget on that. So.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
won't give away any secrets, but
Yeah.
yeah. Prosthetic head.
Oh.
Universal symbol for that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we learned that from Guardians of the
Yeah.
Galaxy. Yeah.
So that was fun.
Nice. And you also have a history of directing stage productions, right?
Yes. For 9 years, I directed a live production of Night of the Living Dead, George Romero's 1968 version of Night of the Living Dead at the Bug Theater. That ran every Halloween season for 4 weekends. And but we spiced up the script a little bit. George Romero's Night of the Living Dead went into public domain in, I think it was 1990 something. So all of a sudden, all kinds of theaters all across the country started doing stage versions of it.
Nice.
When I was living in Chicago, a friend of mine and I were always going to do a stage version of Night of the Living Dead. We never did it, and then someone else did it. I was like, oh. So when I moved to Denver, I was like, nobody's done it here.
Excellent.
So Alex and I co-produced it for 9 years, and it was a very successful show. It was a lot of fun, and
Nice.
but like I said, we added a lot of humor into it. We added extra scenes. We added babysitters getting attacked by zombie scenes. We had a different theme every year. One that was Halloween, once it was sci-fi, once it was B movies,
Mhm.
and then we would take that theme and add it to the original Romero script. And and we used all local actors. It was a blast and very bloody.
Oh.
And I was also in it.
Oh, just were you the first death?
I played Helen,
Mm.
Harry's wife, a few
Yeah.
times, but sometimes in the beginning of There's a scene in Night of the Living Dead where you find an old lady at the top of the stairs and she's been half eaten by zombies, this dead old woman. So every year we would start out the show with how the old lady got killed.
Yeah.
And like, you know, she'd have friends over for mahjong and then zombies would attack. Or they'd be having like an old lady male stripper party and then zombies would attack. And we always had all these old ladies at the beginning get murdered by zombies, and it became more and more old ladies every year until it became, you know, like then they're having a seance in one, and one they're trying to contact aliens, but it always ends up with zombies attacking all the old ladies, and then the one old lady gets chased up the stairs and murdered, and that was usually so. It was a lot of fun.
Matt, were you ever a part of these productions?
I was a guest zombie.
Big guest zombie.
I was a
You were
character.
Keith Richards.
I had various roles which I enjoyed.
Yeah, it was crazy, and we had a lot of really good prominent Denver theater actors.
Cool.
We did over the course of the 9 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there was that. That was fun.
What are the challenges of directing stage production versus film?
You know, I directed stage for years before I did film. I prefer film because there's not the long rehearsal process.
Mm-hmm.
You usually do a couple of quick rehearsals and then you just shoot. And
Yep.
of course, you can break the film up into small pieces.
Yeah.
So if there's an actor who doesn't know all their lines, you can deal with that. He's your
Yeah.
film. Plus,
Yeah.
you're freer to
Yep.
go to different locations. The cool thing about Night of the Living Dead was it was a stage film hybrid.
Mhm.
So everything that happened outside of the house, we pre-filmed. And we had a screen above the stage that we showed those scenes. So
Mhm.
like if some actors ran out of the house,
Yeah.
they would run into the screen, like when the truck blows up.
Yep.
And so we had things going on inside and outside, which was really fun. But I always enjoyed the filmed parts because there's just so much more you can do.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like you can shoot everything in a weekend
Nice.
instead of a long rehearsal
Yeah.
process and then
Yeah.
So
That's
and
cool.
your special effects.
Yep.
That's-
Yes. Gotta love that. Blood works.
Yeah. Now they can fake blood, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
You don't even have to have real splatters. So
Yeah. Yeah. We ended up running into that on Camp Crash. So.
Ah,
So my editor got creative, and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna suck." And then he showed it to me. I was like, "Wow, this is
it's
amazing!" And everybody was kind of people were cleanish, you know. But Matt, you also have a persona that is a magician as well.
Yes.
Yeah, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Actually, I have to go.
Am I putting you on the spot?
No. I happen to have a deck of cards with me.
Oh.
So see if I can break into it real quick.
Yeah.
He's not there yet.
Good old Max Mago.
That's the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can find him around.
We've got him on isolation, man. Yeah,
Made it to the film as well.
And,
No, I saw that.
yeah, you saw that.
So
Yeah.
I've been performing magic in character for probably 15 years now, maybe.
Okay, nice.
On the extended end. 12 to 15 years, I suppose. It's
Yeah.
all like one long day.
and he actually plays a magician in this.
Is it
He's got a cameo of a magician, and you're not getting a lot of him
okay?
in the
yeah,
dressing room scene.
but as Max Mago?
No,
He just
more
kind
anonymous.
of random magician.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm backstage as the mystery unfolds.
Mm-hmm.
But he was also plays a magician. I did a film called Memphis Psychosis, which was a
this
short
one.
film I did
Yeah.
about a singer named Mick Farron, who was very prominent in the 1960s in England.
Oh, okay.
And he was a beat poet, musician. He knew everybody, and hung out with like Abby Hoffman and people like that, and the Hells Angels, and did crazy kind of beat poetry music. And I bought a you know how you just buy a random CD sometimes? Like,
Yeah.
if you ever go to a CD store and just find a really cool cover,
Yeah.
just get it back.
That's usually how I bought them.
Yeah, yeah.
Same thing with movies.
Yes. And this was called Memphis Psychosis, and it was the best song. It's this beat poetry song, and I loved it. So I thought, well, I'm just going to try to contact him. So I found him. He was living in the States. He was older and talked like this and just this character. And I would have these phone conversations with him. And he would talk about all these people back in the 60s and you know, all the psychedelics he did and all this crazy stuff. Because the Memphis Psychosis is a guy on his way to Memphis to Graceland. And he stops in a diner and buys some drugs in the bathroom and then has a crazy acid trip for the rest of the way.
Nice.
And yeah, there's bats in it and all kinds of stuff. But so I asked him if I could make it into a film, and he said yes. And he didn't charge me anything. And I was like, I'm a nobody filmmaker, but I love this song, and I just want to do a crazy road trip, weird movie with it.
Yeah.
So he let me. So it's a very weird film. So it's been an acid trip. So. But I entered that one into festivals and didn't get anything, and then I finally got it into the Toronto Festival, and I was so happy because it's the only festival it got in, but it was also the only international festival I've gotten into. So I was really happy about that, and Mick has passed away since, unfortunately. He died on stage. I believe it was singing a number called Gunpowder and Cocaine.
Oh my gosh.
Somewhere in London.
Yeah.
Yeah, he died the way he lived. But yeah, he would tell me these crazy stories, and he would say, I'm not so pretty anymore, Kris, but I've still got it. But oh yeah, the stories were amazing. So that was actually the coolest thing about that was I hadn't known much about him, but he performed with all kinds of people, the Pretenders, and I mean he knew everybody.
Wow.
He was there was some big British music festival that he performed at. Anyway, look him up, Mick Farren, Farren.
Didn't he get somebody or he tried to get somebody to smoke?
Oh, he tried to get David Frost to smoke pot on the David Frost show, and it was a big
on
scandal.
television? Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Crazy hippie.
Sounds like there's kind of a wellspring of stories with this guy.
Oh, yes, and I was going to go out to LA and see him, and then his health started failing. So he had to go back to London so he could have health care, because, you don't get it here.
Nope.
So yeah, that was it. He called me, he's like, I'm going to go back to London, there's coming health care.
Yeah.
So he left, and then I always thought maybe I would fly out to London and see him, and then he passed.
Yeah.
After that. But I'm so glad I got to make that film out of his piece, because it's so wild.
Yeah. Is that available anywhere?
That's on YouTube, and if you just look up Memphis Psychosis, Mick Farren, it should come up.
Cool.
You get, if I may, you
can
can also, last time I checked, you can see Mick Farren perform it.
Oh, yeah.
On guitar.
Yeah.
But you can also see Kris film.
Nice.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff on Mick Farren.
Okay.
Memphis Psychosis.
Yes.
Nice. Gonna have to check that out.
Yeah.
And then also, recently, on the last, I'd say a few years, it's been longer than that, but both owned a magic shop.
We did a magic and oddity shop.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, we had it for 5 years. It was really cool. We had shrunken heads and a mummy case and you name it.
And a lot of
We had it,
characters.
wrapping seance hands.
Yeah.
Met a lot of amazing people. It was fun, but small business is really hard, especially in Denver, and competing with the internet is so tough. And even though a lot of people loved our shop, I feel like we kind of started out the oddity thing.
Okay.
Because we had all kinds of weird oddities in there. And then all of a sudden, like, oddities kind of exploded with the Oddities Expo now that takes place here once a year, and now it's all over the country. And you're seeing more and more oddity shop type places like Learned Lemur and Ritual Craft and all these places opening up. So even that got, started getting competition. So.
Okay.
But it was a good 5 years.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
The
you
rents
still,
go up.
yeah, you still operate it online? Does it just exist as online? Okay.
Like everything else.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I know that. Yeah.
Someday we do want to get a vehicle into a mobile shop.
Oh.
Travel around and have a little oddity show and magic show.
Mainly I want to horn
That'd be
that goes-
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Ooga.
Yeah.
That's all I need.
Nice.
Yes. We want to put a jackalope on top of it or something.
As one should.
You got the jack of spades.
Wards off evil spirits.
Yeah.
Or attracts them. You know, depending on the mood.
Yeah.
A gargoyle.
Yeah.
Well, and the
exactly.
cool thing is we sold out a lot of the stuff in the shop, but we do have a mummy case in our living room and shrunken heads in our office, and we have a seance hand.
Yeah.
We got a lot of weird stuff in our house.
It's
Conversation
Stuff
starters.
you just can't get rid
Yeah.
of.
Yeah.
None of it's for sale. That was the hard part.
Use the sarcophagus as a coffee table. Yeah.
He's in the corner type.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds like so much fun. You mentioned these expos. Do you guys go there and set up tables and stuff too?
Yeah, they had the one here is in October. It's the Oddities and Curiosities Expo. I think it was at the Merchandising Mart.
Oh,
And it's every October, and we had a booth. We did very well.
oh, great.
Oh yeah, it was insane the amount of people that turned out. Oddities just kind of exploded. It's like it was sort of an underground thing for a while, and now it's kind of more exploded into the mainstream, I feel like.
Nice. I think there's like a Morbid Curiosities
Yep.
show coming up.
Yep.
I think we have a table. Brett procured that
Oh,
for
hey,
us.
where's that one?
Where is that
I
one?
need to do that
I
one.
don't know. That's in 2 weeks.
Oh, right.
You might be able to
Oh,
still
no.
get a table.
Yeah.
I think it's one day. It's like that Saturday. Yeah, Brett's gonna look it up. My research team's gonna look it up. Just put the answer on the flyer, some cards, and let me know. I'll get my reading glasses on.
But so now let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Have you been a horror fan ever since you were a kid?
I was. My dad specifically, kind of introduced me to this. I think more along the side of the B films. So I remember watching Saturday morning or Saturday afternoons on USA, and then later Up All Night. As I got older, they'd have like Roger Shears and Captain USA, smoking a big cigar, and there'd be like The Toxic Avenger, from Lauren Kaufman and Trauma Films, and so that sort of thing. And then I remember, little kid, like 6 or so, getting together with friends in the neighborhood, and the parents were upstairs watching these R-rated movies and being like,
Cocktails.
yeah, drinking cocktails, and we would sneak peeks at. He's like, whoa, what is this? What's this guy with the hockey mask? And what's the guy with the the fingers with claws and stuff? And it's like, Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th. We'd have to go back and like, what the hell are our parents into? And it was great. And then hanging out with my dad, he'd show me all this B movie stuff, and then the kung fu films would come in, and then those were the years that I really treasured, and it kind of does shape how I interact with the rest of my life and all these different genres. Background in comic books. I'm a comic book illustrator too, and so all these things just kind of inform all of that. So horror film, big thing. How about you? It's kind of like you grew up doing everything.
We had this great show, which a lot of small towns and maybe probably cities too had that Saturday creature feature. With some weirdo host. Ours was called Horror Incorporated.
Wow.
And it was on Saturday afternoons, and there would be this coffin, and this hand would come out, fog, really cheesy.
Yep.
Welcome to Horror Incorporated. And this guy would start coming out of the coffin. And it was always movies like Plan 9 from Outer Space, the Giant Tarantula movie, which I don't know if it's called, but I love that one. The one about the giant ants, them.
Yep.
But it was mostly like those B-movie sci-fi horror movies, and we loved. My brother and I just ate up. My sister wouldn't watch it.
Oh.
But my brother and I just ate them all. And the old Boris Karloff ones.
Yeah.
So that's where I got my appreciation.
Nice.
From Horror Incorporated. We didn't have Elvira.
Yeah. Neither did I.
She was in a different town.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think she has a property in Colorado Springs. So
Really?
yeah, she's from Colorado.
I didn't know that.
So is Pam Grier. She's around here. And
Yeah.
Don Cheadle, I think, is up the street.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's interesting to see when you start doing some digging. It's like, hey, who can we get guests? Who's actually local? Yeah. Yeah. Matt, how about you growing up?
I read more books that were horrific than watching movies. Later, I got into the movies.
Yeah. What about books? What about the horror books?
Maybe more supernatural than slasher.
Sure.
You know, like The Omen,
Yes.
Carrie.
Yep.
I may have got a bit through The Exorcist, but I wouldn't call myself a horror connoisseur.
Yeah.
I found the trilogy of terror interesting. I found Alice, Sweet Alice is one of the most disturbing things I've seen. Kris loves Suspiria, the old one.
That's my
the original.
favorite, all-time favorite horror film, the original Dario Argento. Suspiria. I haven't seen the remake because I don't think I can.
Yeah, you and I talked about that the last time, and yeah, I've seen both. I like both for two different reasons.
Really?
Obviously,
Okay.
Suspiria is as for Dario Argento is very masterful.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
his play with colors and sounds. It's just
The music
fantastic.
in that film is just eerie.
Yeah, the remake. I mean, I find it takes a different turn. It's a completely it's not a completely different perspective, but it's kind of a little bit more subtext, I feel, to it, and there's a little bit more grit. But it's the choreography is something that's pretty striking. Set design, costuming. I mean, there's different things to to take. Way I look at remakes too is Shakespeare has been done throughout the centuries by different troops and different stages. You've got multiple different perspectives and stuff. So as people are doing remakes and kind of reapproaching content, it's interesting to see different people's perspectives and point of views and how they do it. And you as a fan, you don't have to agree with it, but that's how they interpret it, and that's fine. Just maybe wait until the next iteration, or at least you can always enjoy the original that you grew up with. I tend to find that the films that I grew up with, that's my dogma. That's things that I do treasure and I love and I enjoy, and finding somebody else reinterpreting that, it can be difficult, but because I'm so grounded in this other thing that exists, so getting myself to kind of open up to something else, somebody else's perspective, can be difficult. So I try to go in there without too much pretense, but that can be very tough. Best case in point, always going back to Star Wars. You got the original trilogy, and then my cousin grew up with episodes 1 through 3.
Yeah.
I just couldn't get through it, but she enjoys it and she loves it. She grew up with it. That's her childhood, and it's like, okay, through her eyes, I can appreciate that.
That's a good point.
Can I bring up something that's
Yeah.
less film?
Yeah.
I've noticed a lot of tribute bands.
Yes,
And
that's
I'm wondering if
covers
your
are always
is based on when that person was feeling, in their prime, the most nostalgic moments of their life. I wonder if that's what the attraction is with the tribute.
It might be. I was talking to a friend of mine about a Pink Floyd tribute band. I guess they're called Brit Floyd. And he's like, yeah, I'm going up there some weekend. I don't know when. I was like, oh, well, where's there? Red Rocks. He's like, oh, a cover band sells out Red Rocks. I was like, okay, well, it's Pink Floyd. It's universal appeal, and it's this band that gives their interpretation and stuff. And I think for bands doing that, that's something that they're anchored to clearly. Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing it. I've got friends that are in a Ween tribute band, so I think that's just awesome because Ween.
Oh, Ween.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ween.
Ween. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Dean Wee and all those guys. Yeah, but you know, that's a band that's just constantly changing and really eclectic and you know, can be very bizarre at times, and you know. So I was like, wow, being in a tribute band to something that's constantly changing and doing something like that, I thought that's pretty neat. And you know, also that would challenge you, I think, creatively as an individual, trying to learn that material. And whereas like something like Pink Floyd, I mean, you know, as in high school, I was inundated with Pink Floyd, so it just never really grabbed hold of me very well. I tend to disband or disregard a lot of stuff from my high school years because I was stupid as shit.
Did you watch Wizard of Oz with Pink Floyd?
No, you know, in art school, everybody's like, "Oh, you should do that, and you should smoke pot and stuff." And I just found that whenever I smoked pot, I just went to sleep. So
now I'm
then I found cocaine.
Now I wonder.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
Because you know, you used to hear
because we're adults.
if you listen to Led Zeppelin backwards. So what if you watch The Wizard of Oz backwards?
Oh, okay. That idea I like better.
All these fresh ideas.
Yeah.
See what happens in a bookshop?
Yeah, right? You have millions of pages chock full of ideas.
Only so much time.
That's true. Best place to plan a revolution, coffee shop.
Yes, so I'm told.
Yeah, and then compound that with a bookstore too. So, yeah. Yeah.
Great combo.
Oh man. So, Kris, what kind of? Do you have any new projects that you're working on?
I got 3 films that I'm trying to finish editing. I'm not an editor, and I have a very talented editor here in Denver named Drew McCullough, does my editing, and he's. I did we shot. We were going to do a short film about the magic shop. It was actually going to be webisodes, and we shot 4 of them before we ended up shutting down. So I was like, okay, these were going to be promotional webisodes. What are we going to do with them? So my editor is taking the episodes and putting them into a short film. So it'll be like, here's a couple days in the life of a magic shop. Like we have an episode on 420 where these very high people come in and get freaked out by the weird stuff in there, which is pretty fun. Some really fun actors in that. The disgruntled kids show magician episode. So that's being edited right now by my editor. Last fall, I did a project called Tell Me a Scary Story. So I just asked 13 people to tell me the scariest thing that ever happened to them, supernatural or not. And so we shot it at the shop, and you know, we had people sitting with like, we dressed the stage with like skulls and crazy stuff, and just had people tell these stories, and some of them are terrifying, and some of them are ridiculous. But that's in the editing stage now too. I'm editing that myself, which is why it's May and we shot it in October and it's still not done. But yeah, there were a couple stories that this one lady in particular about, she was in the 60s, those stories. And her story just made every hair on the back of my neck stand up. I'm not going to reveal it because once I heard it, release it, people have to see it. But and then one guy, a friend of mine was working on a horror film set on a farm that was supposedly haunted. So to save hotel money, because he lived pretty far away from the set, he decided to camp there. I mean, it's this perfect horror film like plot. So he's camping there by himself, and he just had this terrifying experience in the middle of the night, very Blair Witch Project. Yeah. And I mean, to the point where he was like clutching a Bible and praying in his tent when all this crazy stuff was going on. But yeah, his story is hilarious. And then after each story, you know, we make some, my friend Marie and I are the hosts, we make some comment about it. So like for that one, we were like, if this tent's rocking, don't come knocking, you know, stuff like that, you know, to kind of lighten the mood after the stories. There's one woman who was followed by some sort of an alien thing up in the mountains in Colorado. These stories are awesome and creepy, and some of them, like I said, are ridiculous. But so that I need to get that one done and get it out there.
Yeah, definitely. I really want to see these.
Yeah, that one I think is going to be fun. And then the third one was on a completely different note. It's called Samaritan. And I asked 10 people to tell me the nicest thing that a stranger ever did for them.
Oh,
And these stories will make you weep. I mean, some of them are just like, but so that one is in the editing stage too. So that's my 3 projects.
nice.
Yeah,
You only need 3.
I just gotta get them done. But it's hard, you know.
Yeah.
Filmmaking is hard. After that initial shooting, after that initial, get the script ready, you get your actors, you shoot the thing, and then when the editing process hits, that's when sometimes everybody disappears.
Yeah,
And but it's just editing takes so long.
it does.
It does, and going through the footage and finding the best shot of each,
Yeah.
thing, and which is why with the Tell Me a Scary Story, I didn't let people rehearse.
Okay.
Most of the stories they just told it once. I just wanted them to tell me the scary thing that happened to them, as if we were just sitting around in a coffee shop or at a slumber party.
Yeah.
And so I liked that aspect of nothing sounding very rehearsed.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, you as a filmmaker, doing the stage, productions and stuff, you're constantly running into obstacles. It is neither path is really easy.
Yeah.
And you kind of hinted at, a few of these things. My experience as a filmmaker is, and the reason why I don't do like stage production anymore is like when we were doing our film, we would get all these people together on a weekly basis and practice. A lot of it was sword fighting. We needed to. And but for doing that for like such a long time, 8 years, I mean, that's a hard thing to ask of large groups of people to do it. So when I started turning to film, I was like, get a large group of people together for a small amount of time. Yeah, film it. There's your record. There's your live stage production right there. You can just back then it was like plop it on a DVD, plop it on a Blu-ray. Now it's online and it's available right there.
Yeah.
Do you find you have to really kind of network and find all these different people with different talents to for very specific things, or are you able to just like do the bulk of it? Produce, direct, write, script, edit. It sounds like you've got your own editor.
I don't have it in me anymore to learn how to edit.
Okay.
It's such an art, and this guy is amazing. He's so fast. But yeah, I usually do end up producing, directing, and of course when you have no money for a project, that's why I do these interviews. Like we spent, Tell Me a Scary Story cost nothing because we had the magic shop still, so we could sit somebody next to the mummy case with a crow here and a creepy tree and a skull, and because we had all these crazy props in there and oddity things, and so it really cost us nothing to do that film, which is great. And we didn't pay people, but they came in and told the story, and we're happy to, and a lot of people just wanted to So I like that format, and I think I'm probably going to stick with that format for a while. Now I've done the Tell Me the Nicest Thing, Tell Me a Scary Story, I'll come up with something else. But, because if you don't have money, it's, to do a narrative film, we had some money. I mean, parents gave money, we raised money, but it's still terribly low budget. But, we got a set for free. A lot of the actors, I gave them option to either get paid a certain amount of money or, hey, if we ever get big, you'll take a percentage. Most of them, probably out of the goodness of their hearts, said, I'll take a percentage. Some people took the cash up front, but and we did pay for people for the magic film too, the short film. But I try to pay actors. I think it's so important to pay people. I always pay my editor. I do my own camera work now because I got finally a decent camera, but whenever I had somebody else shoot a project, I always paid the camera person. But yeah, it takes money. And I mean, I know they're saying like, oh, but people are shooting films on iPhones and stuff like that. Yeah, but you still have to have a pretty big budget. You got to pay actors, you got to pay for locations, you know. So it's tough. It's a big, you got to have a crew. You got to have a big crew and a lot of people to do a feature film. But something like, you know, talking to a bunch of people about scary stories.
Yeah.
You just need you and them. And for like Samaritan, I think I put an ad, I think I put something on Facebook and said, hey, if anybody wants to tell me your story, and then we would ask people that came into the magic shop, you know, customers, I would just say, hey, by the way, I'm doing this little film.
Yeah.
And we got some of our best stories that way.
Yeah.
And the scary story one, it's mostly people that we knew, and I think a couple of people from the shop, customers, but yeah, I mean,
Nice.
it's the cool thing is you're always going to be able to find people who want to tell a story.
Yeah.
So and I think it's a cool format.
Yeah.
So
I think the talent pool shifts too, because when somebody's starting out, they'll do whatever comes their way, you know,
Film credits.
work-wise.
Yeah.
It's like, let's say you're, you know, wanting to get out into the music scene. You'll do an open mic.
Yep.
You know, and then eventually you're doing gigs and, you know, it's just, I think, the natural progression. I mean, that it thins out.
Yeah.
You know, people get busy after a while.
Yeah. Yeah. Most definitely. Yeah. I find that people I've worked with years ago, they're off doing other greater, grander things, or life has gotten in the way or something like that, and they're no longer available because they're off doing different things.
Or they're only available on Blu-ray.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah. Yeah. Well, there is that one guy. No, I don't know any of those guys.
Oh, he's with the Blue Man Group.
Oh, he's with Blue Man Group. No, that's Enigma. Yeah, he's not with. He's not with Blue Man Group. No, I actually do know.
Enigma was in our. He was at the opening. He came to the shop a few times.
Yeah,
He did promos for us, and then we went out and got the X-Files episode that he's in.
Yep.
It was one of my favorites.
Oh yeah, Humbug.
But yes.
Yeah.
So good, but yeah, we love Enigma. He's awesome.
Yeah. You guys have worked with some all different pools of talent. So sideshow, magic,
Yes, lots of sideshow
film, traditional theater, underground theater. I mean, you name it. Bands, weirdos like me.
Well, there's no one like you.
That's true.
And the thing is too, if you give people a fun experience, that's all they really want. Like we had a blast shooting this film, and we had a blast shooting the monument. We had a blast doing the magic thing.
Memphis Psychosis.
Memphis Psychosis was so much fun. We were out on the plains shooting this craziness out there, and these women in these sexy outfits out on these dirt roads, dragging a guy by a dog collar, things like that. Things like that are in it.
That sounds hot and very family oriented.
It's not a family.
Well, that's how families get started.
But we just, we were just being weird. Going out on the plains with a bunch of costumes and just being extremely
I think
weird.
things come together too at a certain.
Yeah.
Somehow it just all. Now it's time.
Yeah.
You
You get some kind of like synergy, or like almost tapping into like some kind of zeitgeist. Yeah.
Because if it's not fun, why bother?
I totally
Because I mean, it's
agree.
like,
Yeah.
I do films for fun.
Yeah.
And if I get in some festivals, yay, great. If I get a distribution deal, great. But, I'm not doing it for a living, so I don't have that pressure.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of, I just want people to see my films. That's all I care about. That's why it's like, and that's the thing. You can do a film and put it on YouTube and get, hits.
Mm-hmm.
And great.
Yeah.
And you might not make any money, but it's about, do you want to get your art out there?
Yeah.
Or go the commercial route? A lot of people do, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But I did that for a lot of years, and it's, when I was in Chicago, I worked in Chicago for several years as an actress, and I did 5 years with the Second City International Touring Company back in the day. And it was a lot of pressure. Just even that place there was a lot of pressure, and there was a lot of like restrictions. And so after that, I decided I'll just do my own thing from now on.
Yeah.
So that's what I do.
So at this point, we're just about ready to wrap up. But for filmmakers out there, do you have any suggestions or anything that?
Well,
You'd like to
for
pass on?
female filmmakers, I belong to a great group of female filmmakers called Film Fatales.
Oh,
Well, we call ourselves Film Fatalistas here in Denver, and it's a national organization of women filmmakers. And it's I haven't been to the meetings for a while. I need to start going back to it, but it's a great support group.
nice.
And there's just a really nice family out there in the filmmaking community in Denver. I feel like there's a woman named Diane Bell who's doing films here, who's got an advice blog, and I get her emails, and she's with the Film Fatalistas, and she's done some really, really prominent, nice projects, and so she's a really cool reference in Denver. There's a lot of people out there. EFP at the Bug, the Emerging Filmmakers Project, third Thursday of every month. They will screen anybody's. You can submit your film, they'll screen it, and then you get up there and talk about it as the filmmaker. And you've been there probably many times. The Bug has great stuff for filmmakers, and there's a lot of filmmakers that hang out there. So, and then there's Denver Open Media is still going, right?
Still going.
Okay.
There's
I know
there's some limitations, but yeah, they're still going strong, and they're still producing out there. So it's still a great resource for filmmakers to go learn, about the craft, learn, about the technology and everything that's available, the tools and equipment, and then have access to them to make your own stuff too.
Yeah. And the cool thing about Colorado is, you can't shoot anywhere in LA without having to pay for your location. But here in Colorado and Denver, it's rarely. We shot at Davy's Diner from Memphis Psychosis, and he didn't charge us a thing. The guy was so amazing. We shot, all over town, and people were very cool about it. So, yeah, I mean, if you really, really want to do it, just do it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. A lot of people think, I have to raise a bunch of money, or I have to do this or this. Just start.
Yeah.
Just start. Get a good. You can get a good camera now for. I mean, like I said, people are shooting. I have a friend who's working in LA, and on I can't remember, it was one of the reality shows, and they're shooting scenes on iPads.
Mhm.
So you don't have to have
Shooting
like
this on a laptop.
Yes, we are. So yeah, I mean, and if your story is good and your characters are good and you've got something good to say, then there's 3/4 of your there's 3/4 of your battle. I can't talk anymore.
That's all right. Neither could I.
So, I mean, let's face it. We're talking about horror. Some of the best horror films are low-budget horror films.
Yep.
And some of the ones that have survived. I mean, say what you will about Plan 9 from Outer Space, but people still know it. And it's terrible, but it's delicious too.
Yeah. Very much so. There's something to be said about films like that have withstood the testament of time. Yeah.
I was in a stage production of that film in Chicago
Oh,
until Ed Wood's
nice.
estate found out and shut them down.
Oh.
Didn't have permission.
Doesn't that go against everything that
I know.
his reason for making films stood for?
You know, I blame the card off.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Kris, thanks so much for having for coming on,
having me,
and
right? It was
man,
fun.
it's always a pleasure. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's really fun to listen and hear more about what you do in your creative process and everything. Where can people see more of your stuff?
I'm selling. You're Not Getting Out Alive. I sell on eBay. Just
Okay.
under You're Not Getting Out Alive. Budget horror film. Memphis Psychosis is on YouTube. The 3 projects I'm working on now are not yet because they're not edited yet. What else do I have on YouTube? Paper Cat. Oh, my company is called Paper Cat Films.
Yes.
From a Halloween decoration that I had when I was a kid. It was
Yep.
a black cat with a movable tail and legs. And my mom said I used to carry it around with me all the time. So I had it for years. And it was all crumpled up. And my mom told me how I love that. So that's where Paper Cat came from. But yeah, if you go on to YouTube, Paper Cat Films, all my stuff's on.
Yeah, Matt.
Yes. I had one too, a paper cat, until one night the chain fell off.
Oh, totally off the chain.
And the claws would come through the
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Where can people find you and follow you? What your
Well,
exploits?
it's interesting because, okay, the shop was an institution, a short-lived venture, but part of the reason I wanted to do that was because I was like, where's the magic in this time? You know,
We did a lot of magic
maybe
show.
I didn't seek it out enough, but I thought, well, we'll kind of make a little stamp, and then it just seemed to kind of, then next thing I knew, it was everywhere. Kind of like Kris was saying with oddities, but I think it's just because that's where my focus was.
Yeah.
So since we've closed, I've kind of gone underground a little bit, and I'm learning a bunch of new things. Like I was with some folks earlier, and all the stuff I learned from the past 5 years, I could kind of almost get through.
Yeah.
I could get through it, but I'm learning so much new stuff that it's kind of been replaced. So I'm kind of down here right now.
Okay.
But when I do get out there, I don't know. They're mainly private gigs right now.
Okay.
So there might be like some summer festivals that I'll do.
So there's
That will be public, but like my next thing is for a private engagement, unfortunately.
So there's no website for you at this moment?
Oh, we still do have a website, www.magoMagicShop.com.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was where
If you
there'll
wanna
be fairs
book
and
me.
festivals and stuff.
You can do that. But I'm enjoying my solitude right now.
Yeah.
And I'll get the streets again soon.
Oh, excellent. Can't wait for you to resurface in other places other than here.
This could be the kickoff.
Of course, Mutiny itself could be the kickoff. Because you've done magic shows and music performances here before. I've caught them. So, thanks so much, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
And then,
COFOH will be at Morbid Curiosities at the Stampede.
so COFOH will be at Morbid Curiosities at the Stampede, and that is June 15th, Saturday, June 15th. So we'll have a table out there. We'll send you some information so you guys can look into it. Hopefully there's a table or something.
Oh, I'm going to be out of town, but.
Oh, okay.
I said,
Well, is Matt going to be here?
I will.
Are you going to be out of town? Kris?
The date again?
June 15th.
I don't know.
Well, either way, I think they have a number of different shows because they had the one in Colorado Springs, same people?
No, different people.
Oh, different people. I lied. Yeah,
Okay.
but that was a few weeks ago.
Yeah, that was the
Oh,
oddity
right.
and
Oddities,
Bizarre
Yeah.
Expo.
Mhm.
I kind of, Kris did the oddity stuff.
Yeah, that was kind of my
You know,
side of it, and his
I
was the
did
magic side.
Okay.
So I probably can't say that I'll be there for sure.
Yeah. Well, regardless of which side you facilitate, definitely look into those. Because, I'm sure there's magic there. There's all kinds of things over there. I saw that. My friends with like Bat Rescue was over there.
Right.
So lots of our artist friends were there. So they contributed to the coloring book. Anyway, I'm Dan Crozier and Kris Hipps and Matt Yarmila. Thanks so much for I'm smacking the table, so sorry for that. Sorry for the mics. But anyway, thanks for staying up all night with us. And have a good night.